Hello and welcome to our program. Infrastructure is the backbone of any developing economy, but the finer nuances of how these infrastructure projects are executed, that's uncharted territory for most of us. With more than 33 years of experience in the areas of irrigation, water resources, power and infrastructure, our guest on the show today brings great in-depth knowledge of these areas. Please welcome Shri R K Gupta, CMD, WAPCOS. Gupta ji, welcome to our program.
Thank you.
What is the mandate of WAPCOS?
WAPCOS was set up in the early years 1969 to share India's experience and expertise in the water sources and power sectors with friendly developing countries.
Okay.
That was the basic mandate of WAPCOS, and also to provide technical strength to our state governments for development of this sector.
All right. So right now, with providing consultancy services to projects in India and abroad, what are the major projects it's engaged in?
We are engaged in major projects of water sources and power, and some of the key or milestone projects are the hydropower projects in Bhutan, where we are working on the Pano Sangchu 1 and Puna Sangchu 2 hydroelectric projects, which by themselves are 2000 megawatt. New projects are also in the pipeline. We are having very good projects in Cambodia, Laos, where we are working on dams and irrigation projects. In Africa, we are working for water supply schemes for building of roads, and we are also working in some of the most difficult areas of the world. We have an ongoing Salma Dam project in Afghanistan.
So when we talk of providing consultancy services, especially in the areas of water and power, these are two huge areas where the world is actually looking at so many alternate sources, because these are the areas of paucity in the near future. So in terms of feasibility studies, the environment damage, collateral damage, what does WAPCOS do?
Our services start right from the feasibility reports, where we go, our people go to the sites, see whether the project is feasible or not. They do the surveys, investigations, detailed project reports, and then later on these projects are taken up for investment. But these studies are very important, and their importance is being felt now, because everywhere we need infrastructure development, and all over the world finances are available, but bankable reports are not available. Okay. So we are filling that gap.
So when we talk, Mr. Gupta, of development, somewhere in most of our minds there is this thing, it's at the cost of environment. There's a huge debate saying that it's not development versus environment, but development can take place keeping the environment as a stakeholder in mind. What do you feel about it?
That is very true, because wherever we develop projects, we carry out environmental impact assessment studies, and we also carry out R&R plans. So WAPCOS reports look after those interests. Only where the projects are not well studied, there only these environmental problems come into the picture.
All right. So in terms of the study and the depth and the consultancy that is offered to organizations, is it over once the consultancy is given, or do you go in for the execution stage also?
No, we take up projects from concept to commissioning. Okay. After the feasibility reports, we take up the DPRs. After the DPRs and the decision is taken for the investment, we go for detailed design engineering, then we take up the construction supervision, quality control, and finally operation and maintenance. And capacity building and transfer of technology to the client's personnel is the essence of WAPCOS services.
You are credited, Mr. Gupta, with actually turning around WAPCOS from it's a quasi government body, and you've actually made it a front runner in providing actually cutting edge consultancy services. It's been more than 20 years of hard work.
Yes.
Just share this journey with us.
I joined WAPCOS in the year 1989. At that time, the company's turnover was only 4 crores. So gradually I grew in the ranks and contributed in planning, management, strategic thinking, and I worked very closely with the management. And when I took over as chairman cum managing director in the year 2009, we were present in only 8 countries, and now this company is present in more than 38 countries. We are a profit making, dividend paying company. We are issuing bonus shares. The whole company's operations run from their own resources, and we have won several awards as well for our services.
Actually motivating people sounds like a good cliche, but is not always easy, because I think right from sensitivity to empathy to incentivization, all this is required. So what did you feel that area of your strength which helped people understand their self-worth and say, we are proud of our organization and we need to be the best and give the best?
You have mentioned correctly. I wanted WAPCOs a great place to work. So we gave them lot of decision making abilities to give them exposure at a very young age. We have very young engineers who travel abroad, who are exposed to the very difficult project sites. So that is the right age where they can do well. They can do hard work. So that is what channelizes their energies to do better and better.
So when you see WAPCOs now taking the next leap, where do you see it going?
Earlier it was only a Mini Ratna Schedule C company. Now it is a Mini Ratna 1 Schedule B. Now we are looking taking WAPCOs to be a Schedule A company and a Navratna status, and maybe working in Latin America as well as CIS countries, because my services not only bring profit, they have also to earn a name for India.
To be on the cutting edge, Mr. Gupta, I think somewhere innovation, research and development always play a great role. And I think technology is something that you believe is always going to be your biggest tool in making you right top of the line. How do you see innovation?
Innovation is very important, because whatever services we are providing, they have to be as per the needs of the countries, and they cannot go for very high end or very costly technologies. So we have to come out with cost effective solutions which are adaptable to the local conditions. Okay. So that is how innovations come into practices for water supply schemes, for sanitation schemes. We see how to use local material, how to use local expertise, train the local men and women and even children in repair and maintenance of works, so that they are able to use these technologies.
Right. We're going to go in for a short break. When we come back, we want to understand from you that I think understanding the local sensibility and strengthening the community to run it on its own, because when the consultants move out,
yes,
that's when the project needs to run. So what are some challenges which you've faced, and also in terms of global leadership, because right now we see that we are in developing countries or in regional areas. How do you see making the move into the so-called developed countries, taking WAPCOs there? But right now, a short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. We are still in conversation with Sri R K Gupta, who is the CMD of WAPCOs. Sri Gupta, talking now of the strength that we bring in to local communities in other countries. You say that we work seamlessly. Some challenges which you might have faced and you never thought you would face them?
The most important challenge is the language. We have to see how people react to our way of living or our style of working. So we have to learn their local habits, get involved with them, start to eat and stay with them, so that they accept us. Once they accept us, then the things become easier.
So all this takes time, and your engineers they go and live there for some time?
Yes, in fact we have offices in all these places, and our people gradually, that is why youth is very important, because they are not averse to getting taste of new foods, new cuisines, and maybe getting new cultures. So that helps WAPCOs to get entry into those areas, and then become a part of their own. Many places when I go, then people will say, no, these are not WAPCOs, man, these are Mozambican people, they are not WAPCOs, man, they are Cambodians. So it helps our organizations to grow.
Coming back to the Indian context, Mr. Gupta, I think in terms of water resources, I think highly talked about, and there are these huge plans of actually linking rivers and bringing about water connectivity across the country. We have areas of abundance and we have areas of scarcity. How do you feel that we can actually bring a better level playing field in terms of water for India?
Most of the time in the earlier years we were looking at water development. but now we are looking at the concept of integrated water sources management and development, where we have to manage our water sources. We have to look at the supply side as well as the demand side. Similarly, we have to seriously look at how we have to take water from our surplus areas to the deficit areas. And the government is already having several schemes on which they are working, and I hope they will fructify, and we will be able to move ahead in these areas.
I think one of the greatest providers of opportunity and equity is providing these basic infrastructure requirements and power and water resources across the country. So do you feel that somewhere we don't have that luxury of time, really, of waiting for a larger plan to evolve? Do you think there is crisis brewing in certain areas?
I agree with you, but always we have to have short-term goals and long-term goals. We have to plan far ahead in time, and always also to look at the local interest. For example, we can go for water harvesting activities. We have to have new agricultural practices for rain-fed areas, and over the next few years we can also look at long-term irrigation schemes as well. So we have to have planned development, short-term as well as long-term plans.
When we think of water harvesting or local ways of actually conserving water, looking at traditional methodologies, we normally have some civil society organizations and some NGOs working in it. At a larger scale, is there a government policy in place to say we need to understand traditional methods to bring about modern movements?
Yes, it has happened very much, and in fact Gujarat is an example where water harvesting was taken up in a very big way. WAPCOs was also very closely involved in those development processes, and these activities have also been taken up in Madhya Pradesh, in Rajasthan. So water harvesting as a concept has taken off in a very big way.
Right. Having chartered the infrastructure needs of the country over the past 20-25 years, we also know that what we need today in terms of infrastructure is changing. It's different than what we needed 10 to 15 years ago. So what are the 2-3 key areas, whether it's roads, whether it's dams, or I think in terms of building offices, social structures, how do we get into place those 3 or 4 key elements on which infrastructure will rest?
One is to plan for the future. For example, whenever we plan something, it takes time for it to be executed,
right.
And by that time the things become inadequate. So we have to see that we plan for a sufficient timeline. Then we have to arrange resources matching to those plans or the scale of the projects, okay. And those should not be allowed to linger on. And then last of all, we have to maintain the quality of execution, because whatever we do, unless we maintain the quality, their sustainability will not be assured.
Timelines are very critical for you.
Timeline is very critical.
On-time closure, delivery, which is again a challenge across organizations because people are involved, the government is involved, clearances are involved. You know, there are so many, I would say, things which stop the timeline from being met. I'm sure you meet challenges, you meet hurdles. What affects quick closure in your case?
That is a constant follow-up and chasing our projects. Whenever we submit a project proposal to any government, we try to see that we are able to provide clarifications, we are able to make presentations, we seek as if it is our own project. We don't feel it is a government project, because my organization's performance is also linked to the closure of that project. So it helps us to bring it faster.
Foreign organizations coming within India, do you think that we can make our working more attractive so that we cut a lot of frills and come to the crux of the matter?
Yeah, that is a possibility. That when foreign investors come here, and we must give them the appropriate platform to enable them to present their views, thoughts, and maybe participate in our progress. But my areas of work are different, because I am taking Indian technology abroad.
Right.
So what the foreigners are expecting from India, perhaps I as an organization am expecting from other countries.
Right.
Because I am developing projects abroad.
So when you take projects abroad, what do you think makes it advantageous for any organization to say, okay, this is an Indian company? What are your USPs that sell you to them?
My USP is the experience, a number of successful projects behind me, then our people who have been working in those areas, then cost effectiveness, then the quality of the projects, and most importantly the areas in which we are providing these development projects have a bonding with India. And I tell them that India has gone through these pains in the beginning since independence, and now we know what will be the needs of a developing country. We understand them much better than maybe a developed country.
In an organizational lifespan, they say around 20 years is when the downfall starts and you need to reinvent yourself, right? You've just done a 22 year period and you're in the process of reinventing it. What are the changes that you want to bring into your organization?
Earlier, WAPCOs was dependent upon people coming on deputation. Now we have our own skilled staff. Changes, we want to only to grow in areas which are allied to our core strengths. As I mentioned earlier in my talk, we want to go to new countries because there is so much to do. There is no real need for re-engineering. Only thing is to share more and more for India's name to grow in various places.
At a personal level, what inspires you or motivates you?
The challenges that come across. For example, even in WAPCOs, every day is a challenge, and I feel happy even if I get a new work order, if I get payments for my projects, if my presentation is appreciated by people. So everything makes me happy. And I tell the people also that if you join WAPCOs, you can get happiness every day, every moment.
And in terms of motivating yourself when you face difficulties, how do you do that?
That there are 2,200 people working for me. I have to take them forward. I have to look at their future as well. And I have been assigned the task of leading a public sector undertaking, and I have to see that it continues to work on its own and continues to give name and profits to the government of India.
Yours has been a labor of love, a long relationship with the sector that you're working in, and that's why you are where you are today and doing what you're doing today. Today's challenge is that young people and most of us want results very fast, instantaneously. Even noodles are not even cooked in 2 minutes. So how does one cultivate patience?
That is an art to be learned, and maybe we have to continue to talk to our young people and tell them, even my own children, I have to tell them, be patient. And they also work in various organizations and they also immediately want to grow. But I have learned this art of patience, and I keep on telling them it is very essential for growth and for maturity.
So for success, what are the ingredients?
Hard work, commitment, and a sense of belonging to the organization in which you are working, and always to try to excel and try to do good things.
So this wonderful sense of simplicity and optimism and the no frills that you have in your conversation, in the way you're working, and I think that is also giving results. Management, they say, is very layered, very complicated, it's with people and all. You do it so effortlessly and so simply. How do you do that?
Because I don't think it in terms of management. I think I have this thing to do, and I have to achieve a particular task, complete a particular task, and I go about doing it in a very natural manner.
Mr. Gupta, just want to thank you for helping us today understand the meaning of this line which says the pure power of simplicity. But thank you so much for sharing your insights with us. We have a lot to learn.
Thank you
so much.
It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.